Hi, I'm Stephanie Watson. This is Word Slingers, the show where we explore the creative writing process and give you ideas and inspiration to help you move your writing practice forward. Welcome to my writing desk. This is where the magic happens. This is also where the very bad writing happens. This is the chair that I've committed to sitting in almost every day to try to do some writing whether I feel like it or not. Right now, I'm sitting here thinking about my very good friend Jacquelyn Fletcher. Jackie is an artist, an author, a speaker, an entrepreneur, and a publisher. Most recently, she's the artist and author behind the Dear You series of gift cards and books published by her very own Gold House Press. Recently, Jackie told me how a creative heartbreak became the springboard for a whole new way of working and a brand new project. It took her out of her writing chair and onto a stage dancing. Here's my conversation with Jacquelyn Fletcher. So, Dear You, tell us about this project and how it came to be.
Well, the Dear You collection started, I'm hosting a TV show for Mayo Clinic around the idea of writing and healing. And so I was doing that show and interviewing authors and writers and doctors and really learning all of the health benefits that come along with creative expression. And like real ones that are measured by science, that we've known all along anyway, but now scientists are measuring them. And so I had a creative heartbreak of my own. I worked on a project that totally fell apart and it was very near and dear to my heart. And so I was doing this TV show and I thought, Jackie, you got to put your money where your mouth is, man. And so I ended up writing a book to make myself feel better. And that's the blue one right here that you've got.
This is the
first one, yep. And it's called Dear You, Messages from Your Heart. And it's very simple. It's just these little letters to Dear You, who is me, love your heart. And so they're these little letters. And at the same time, I wrote the book and it did help to make me feel empowered about this experience that I'd been through and to kind of name it and to work through it emotionally. And then I started taking painting classes on YouTube. That's awesome. You can do anything in there on YouTube. And so I was painting and I went and got books and really just started experimenting. And I ended up painting canvases and then hand stamping the books letter by letter. And so it was this very meditative, hands-on experience that took me a long time to do. I think it probably took a month just to do the stamping alone.
Of the first book.
Of the first book, yeah. And so then I just couldn't stop because I had accessed some voice in myself that really wanted to play. So I've been playing ever since.
Yeah. Well, please don't stop.
Oh,
I'm glad that you've created so much. And it's not just the books. It's big canvases, it's cards, it's it's been like a creative explosion.
It has, journals and prints and all sorts of things. And that led to Dear Body Love Me. And a friend of mine had said, so if you were going to do a TED Talk, what would you do? And I said, because the creative project that fell apart was a project where I had wanted to write about my body.
Yeah. And
because I had lost 100 pounds in my 20s and had kept it off for 20 years and had never been able to write about that experience. So I knew that the answer to my friend was, well, it'd be about the body, of course. I would return to the body. And so then I was like, well, what if I just write a letter to my body like I'm doing, to myself? And so that's how Dear Body was born. I wrote it in my journal, longhand, and then stamped the entire thing, letter by letter, and then there it is on bookshelves.
Yes, here it is. Well, and it reads like a poem. It's like a beautiful kind of spare poem, and it's in a book form, but then you were going to share it in a live show, and your plan was to get up and read it, just stand there and read it, and tell us about how that's not quite what happened.
No, not quite. I have a dear, dear friend, Margie O'Loughlin, who is an amazing photographer. And I went to her because I pictured myself getting up and reading it like a narrative poem, a spoken word piece.
Right.
And I went to my friend and I said, hey, would you take pictures of women? And I could have their pictures up behind me on stage, And I'll be at a podium and I'll have my book and I'll be reading it, like authors do. And she said, yes, of course, absolutely, I would be happy to, but let me just make sure I understand that, you're going to get up and talk about your body and hide your body behind a podium. And so I was like, this is what dear friends are for, right? They kind of shine a little mirror up. And so she is also a dancer and a choreographer, and she said, what if we danced your poem? And I thought that was a brilliant idea, and so I recorded my voice reading the poem, and she created a dance. And she insisted that I be one of the dancers, and I dance in yoga, but that's about it. And here at my desk, but that's about it. And so she created a dance. We found another dancer, Aubrey Eggers, who joined us and put on a performance, and it was just fantastic. It was really, really exciting. So I have examined every inch of you for your flaws. I have used you without regard for your safety. I have demanded that you go places you didn't want to go. I have given you to jerks. I have refused to listen to you. I have buffed and polished you and plucked and shaved you. I have made you go without sleep, without exercise, without touch.
Did you start writing these in your journal too? Like longhand?
Yeah. So
the Dear You.
I did. One of the things that I discovered was, I'm a professional writer. That's what I do for a living. And so I have an editor that is really loud.
Internal editor.
Yes. Sorry. I also have external editors as well. But I have an internal editor, that's extremely loud. And so I knew that I wanted to get out of, I couldn't be at my desk typing away the way that I do my work. I had to have a more creative approach to it. And so I also looked at everything I already do in my day. Because I run my own business, I'm very regimented about my days. I'm very habitual. I'm a habit-driven person. And so that it's always so that I don't end up watching soap operas all afternoon.
Eating bonbons.
Eating bonbons. Yes. Watching Oprah, or I don't know. And so I had a ritual already in place that I would get up every morning and read something empowering or inspirational, and then I would write in my journal. And so I thought, well, geez, instead of complaining in your journal, worrying in your journal, writing lists in your journal, all of these things that were actually making me feel not so great at the start of every day, that I would write my books in the mornings in my journals. And so that's what I started doing. And, then there's all this time that I've already carved out of my day. And I just ended up being really productive that way and continued to do that. So,
yeah. So do you ever, now that you have the whole kind of stamping operation, do you ever just say, I'm just going to write directly on the canvas?
On the canvases?
Come up with something as you're sitting there, or the process is journal and then to the canvas?
Yeah, typically what I do is journal, and then I type it into the computer and I edit it. And that's where I do my edits. Depending on what it is, I'll have a copy editor look at it for me, just, because I have a terrible comma problem.
Too many or too few?
I don't know. Okay. All of the above. And so then, I'll have a chance to look at it, and then I'll use that to guide the stamping. Especially with these books, because there are so many letters in the Dear You books. I have to keep it organized some way, and there's in chapters and all that. But while I am actually doing the stamping, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I have to do this other one, and I will just stamp it directly on, and then I'll put it into the computer to make sure it's captured there too.
Yeah.
So it kind of is a little bit fluid, but that's typically the process.
You can buy Jackie's Dear You books and gifts online and watch her full Dear Body performance on her website. We've included the links below. Be sure to watch part 2 of my conversation with Jackie when she shares about her decision to create her own publishing house in 2013 after years of sharing her work with traditional publishers.